It's Cash Color Cannabis, a high level of conversation on live hiphopdaily.tv. This episode is sponsored by AtlanticBizClothing.com. From our drug lord collection to our Atlanticbiz collection to our Return to the Vipers, everything is available now at AtlanticBizClothing.com. So shop today, AtlanticBizClothing.com. All right, so I got my second guest in the building, man. What's up, Ron?
Nothing much, man. You tell me.
Man, we about to get into it, man.
Let's see, we'll see.
Let me tell you, how many times, again, sometimes I've ruined it for people who just listen on the audio side, because I'm about to just jump into some praise real quick. But, bro, I see these everywhere, man.
Thank you.
I see lit culture everywhere, and it's just dope to finally have you in the building. Got my man Ronald Smith with me, man.
Ron Pugh.
Ron Pugh.
That's my assistant's name.
I've been seeing so many Rons today.
I know how it goes, believe me.
I got my man Ron Pugh with me today, man. One of the founders of Lit Culture, man. So I'd love for you to introduce yourself. Let us know who you are and basically what you do.
Oh, well, my name is Ron Pugh,
Yep.
to be exact. Actually been here in Atlanta for 21 years.
Okay.
But I never actually have come out to the forefront, really, here in Atlanta. I've been in the manufacturing game. It started here in Atlanta from originally Oakland, California. Came here 21 years ago to kind of get away from the life, if you will, and came here and reinvented myself and been behind the scenes and creating a lot of different products in the counterculture, we call it, alternative industry.
Let's talk about how crazy it is you moved from Oakland to Atlanta to launch this. of all places, man. That's crazy.
That's a long story.
Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way. I've always been known. I'm a twin. I have a twin brother. His name's Donnell, so people know the twins, Ronell and Donnell. And since I was a little kid, I was always selling something, always, since I was in elementary school. So everybody that knows me, they'd be like, "What are you selling now?" And anyway, kind of morphed. And back in the early 90s, working in Silicon Valley, got people that took me in, showed me how to formally sell instead of hustle.
Yeah.
And then kind of took it to the next level. By the time I came back here, I'd been invited into this industry, if you will, and it kind of just took off, where I created a lot of different brands that people see on the store shelves. Not just my own brand, but other people's brands that are, some people would say competitors.
Okay.
But I'm behind a lot of brands that we may use in our communities, we may not. So I'm kind of like an idea guy, and I consult with other brands as well, in helping create new markets and push the envelope. Just because of, I was always a disruptor. So I create products that are kind of right up to that edge of disruption.
Oh, speaking of that edge of disruption, Lit Culture. How did Lit Culture come about? Like, when did the concept for that come about?
That's a long story. So the part I can tell you is I was behind another brand that people see around Atlanta and other places. And anyway, we had a deal, and then that deal fell apart, long story short. And I said, you know what? I'll come out with my own brand, first African-American brand in the country, and with a better name. And so that's what we did, because I'd already made a name for myself in the industry because I'm on the manufacturing side, so I don't usually come out and do consumer things or deal with the store owners. I'm usually dealing with the manufacturers and distributors, which is where everybody in the retail section goes and buys their products.
Yeah.
Long story short, I wanted to make a better product than the first African-American rap company, other than my boys at another company that you probably heard of, Royal Blunt, who helped me along, actually. Shout out to Royal Blunt.
Yeah. How about, I learned this right now. Is Royal Blunt black owned?
It is.
Didn't know that.
They're the ones that started the blunt game. But everyone thinks it's Swisher, but it was actually them.
Swish is terrible.
I know.
Not to,
Swisher and others, but it was
Swish
actually
is
Royal Blunt that started it.
I
out of
hated
LA.
Swishers. When I used to go to Texas, that's all they smoked in Texas. And I was like, God, get me out of here. I wasn't even there for 2 weeks. Get me out of here for 2 weeks if this is all you use.
Right.
It's terrible, man. So on your website, you say that Lit Culture is here because of the lack of cultural and innovation and engagement in the industry. What does those words mean to you? Like, what does that mean?
To me, what that means,
Yeah.
so I've been at this a little while in a lot of different industries, in particular, let's say this industry. So one of the things that I do purposefully at these trade shows, so I travel, usually I'm here 6 months out of the year, and a lot of that's just traveling state to state or international doing trade shows. And one thing that always just gets me is there's no African Americans in the back end of the house. We're all on the front end consuming.
Yeah.
And so
brand ambassador.
Or brand ambassador. So
Yeah.
we could do brand
Yeah, we
ambassador,
could
which
do
I
brand
hire
all
at the
day.
shows as well.
All day we could do that.
And so, Snoop might be there or
Yeah.
somebody, a celebrity. But other than that, we're not represented from a brand perspective in those trade show booths that all these store owners and distributors are coming to look for new and exciting products. So I disrupted in the shows first and foremost by playing my rap music loud instead of the normal stuff that they're playing. And I'm like, yeah, we're here. So that's kind of a back end thing. But then on the front end of the market, a lot of these distributors, like here in Atlanta, they know who I am, but the store owners don't. But a lot of the distributors where they go buy it from.
Yeah.
So because I'm not supposed to be really doing this, because this is typically any of these products other than the one I mentioned are all white-owned companies. They're all foreign-owned, all of them. Doesn't matter what you buy; they're all the same people.
So are you
make them.
playing the background? Are you kind of like minimizing your role per se? Is that calculated? Is that something that you've done on purpose?
I've done it on purpose
Okay.
because I've always been a very private guy.
Yeah.
I've always been kind of a loner. You may know of me, but you don't know me.
Yeah.
So this is actually the first time I've ever come out on camera.
So do you
behind
think,
the scenes?
Do you
whether
think
it
if more people knew that this was a black-owned business, that your face and your hands and your mind helped create this idea? Do you feel like it would be a hindrance to people as far as, especially when it comes to you? You're more about finding stores to hold you, not necessarily individuals. You know what I mean? You're on that level. Do you feel like that would actually hinder the process?
No, that's just something that I did want to do, but because I sell another product a lot
Gotcha.
called Kratom, which you probably have never heard of.
Never.
Exactly, because I'm really known for that product set, and that keeps me so busy that I never got around to really coming out to doing these types of things to get the brand to where it needs to be and letting people know that there is an African-American person that, especially here locally, that actually has a brand, because I stay so busy selling that product set, which is a very big product set here in Atlanta and beyond.
Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't know it was black owned. You prove a pretty good job of standing in the background.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you do a great job of that, man. But I know it had to been hard for you to even.
Right. Well, it's a niche industry, and what I found over time is you kind of have to be invited in. It's kind of weird. I didn't actually come from this part of the space, meaning the tobacco side. So I started in the side of the industry where it was originally synthetic marijuana. Kratom was the next big thing. So when I say disruptor, I mean disruptor, right? So the industry that I'm in, so all these smoke shops and head shops around the country, they rely on innovators like myself within the industry to come up with what the next big thing is going to be. So even before this, I was in the beginning of vape 6 years ago. So I had a brand called Drip E-Liquid that a lot of people used back then at that time, which was the most popular brand at that time in the very beginning of the e-liquid or vaping that people know. So I built quite a few brands. So what kind of got me to where I could get into this space, which is a closed community, totally the tobacco space, they couldn't deny me because I'd already proven myself with so many other brands within the counterculture space to where it started to become mainstream.
Yeah.
So now everything now from CBD to e-liquid or vaping, marijuana. So the center of our industry is actually, it started off as glass, water pipes, bongs.
Yes.
That's actually the center of the industry, and everything else just springs off of that. So basically they couldn't deny me getting in because I put my time in making other brands.
Yeah, and well, since the inception, lit culture has now spawned off. It's not just wraps at all. You got the CBD gummies. Speak about some of the expansion that the brand is now.
So good question. So with the success of the wraps and some international penetration a little bit, but a lot of this COVID stuff has obviously stopped some of the things that we had going on. But we're kind of bringing out other product sets such as the CBD. Just because the name is so cool. The good thing is I have so many different distributors or manufacturers that love the name. They want to license the name or just put it on a lighter or put it on this, I'll buy all you got, that type of thing. So we just came out with the CBD and solves and the pet drops and drink additive. But everything that we put the brand on has to be the best of the best in its class.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of work in creating the labels, the packaging, lab reports, lab tests, registration in different states of the product. Like right now in Utah, I have to register each SKU, pay an annual fee just to sell it in that state.
You talking about the CBD?
CBD.
Yeah.
They're the first state to do that. So that's going to be really what's standardized across the country eventually.
Okay.
So I do a lot also, speaking of that, on the legislative side, behind the scenes through different lobbyists and educating the legislatures. Hemp is one of those issues. So a lot of times people would think this is tobacco because that's what they're trained to think.
Yeah, but no,
because
it's
that's
a
all
hemp
they
wrap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, you got to pay taxes. You need a license. I'm like, no, you don't. Here's the law. So I have to do that with different store owners, distributors, and go over that education phase. And I've had to do that with several products because usually when a lot of the products that we've come out with, or my partners and I, is always the first of its kind.
Yeah.
So we actually have to go through the educational phase. But as it relates to the other concept that we're coming out with is a hemp cigar that are literally hand rolled by Cubans in Miami. Because of the space that I work in, like a Robusto or a Toro, these will be literal high grade CBD
Hemp cigars?
Hemp cigars.
That's what's up. I was about to ask, because there's a lot that's in the name. Like lit culture itself is such a dope name that you could, spawn across a lot of different things. And I was going to mention, being that you are from Oakland, have you thought about branding out lit culture as a THC brand as well? Like thinking about the flower side and.
Yeah, well, that's funny you say that because I do work. I manufacture my wraps in California, actually.
Okay.
And that has come up on several occasions. I haven't found the right partnership yet that I'm comfortable with, but that is something we're definitely working on. And because for me, I work in a 50-state, footprint. So for me to say only be able to sell in this state because it's medicinal, to me, it's kind of short changing because I'm used to the 50-state angle or international, and then that kind of limits me. But that has come across, and I may start doing more like stuff like that as it relates to pre-rolls, as an example, branded pre-roll lit culture.
That's what's up.
Pre-rolls in dispensaries.
That's what's up, man. Championing black-owned companies is kind of the trend right now. Like you look around, you've seen people who never mentioned black-owned ever in their life. And then now having whole ads targeted to black-owned businesses and et cetera, man. What does it mean to be a black-owned brand to you? Like, what does that term mean to you?
To me, it means independence, because we're creative people, we're resilient people, and I get a chance to actually create what I call my children, so to speak, and be creative, and that's where the colors come in. We're vibrant people, yeah. So it means a lot to me that coming from those streets of Oakland, hustling for years and years on those streets, selling anything I can get my hands on, and not being given the opportunity or chances that others I saw had, and making my way and scratching, clawing to get to where I got, and all the sacrifices that I went through. These represent just all those years of all that hard work and being out at Eastmont Mall back in the day. Remembering Too Short being out there before me selling his tapes, and me selling fake perfume and cologne back in the day. And just going from those parking lots, selling T-shirts and all those things, to being able to play with these big boys on their level. And it means a lot to me from where I come from.
Word, man. I know most of the times founders of companies, when they come up with products, they're the first testers of the product. Have you had a chance to try your own product? I
have, as it relates to, now once or twice, depending on the product
yeah.
set. CBD definitely, because
okay.
my brain is always going. And when it comes to the wraps, yes, because I want to believe, and I have to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, you got to.
So even if I don't do it on a consistent basis, a big one for me, this is nothing compared to another product that I call which is called Kratom, which is a scarier product for people to try. That one I'll do at the trade shows with people and drink it down, because it's a totally different concept of a product. But these, they're benign comparatively for me as it relates to trying them.
Okay.
But then I have a lot of testers as well around the country, so I send a lot of free product out to my testers.
What's the most popular wrap in the collection?
That's a very good question. I would say the Sweet Georgia Peach.
Sweet Georgia. Is this one?
That's this one, and that's kind of a shout out to Georgia, just like Miami, as well. So that's probably the most popular one.
So Sweet Georgia Peach is the one that's jumping off the racks.
I would say so. Yes, definitely, and then the original as well. And I'd say it depends on the age groups is what we're finding kind of from a demographic standpoint.
Yeah.
OGs, I'd say like the no flavor.
Yeah. Has it been hard for you to pitch it to like I say, brand ambassadors and influencers when it comes to rocking the product? I know normally when it comes to, especially when it comes to musicians, they'll take almost anything. Like, has it been hard to be able to pitch that to other people?
That's a good question. I haven't really tried to pitch it to so much. Not so much. I get a lot of interest from up and coming artists in particular,
Yeah.
who want to definitely run with the product, and DJs in the past. And I've done a lot of that actually, because the brand's been out a couple of years.
Yeah. How long has it been officially?
About 2 years.
2 years.
Thereabouts. I actually worked with a couple of. I sponsored Birthday Bash last year. I sponsored Streets Fest. So I have gotten interest, but I'm not really ready to give up any equity deals. Let's put it that way.
Nah, I feel you,
If
man.
that makes sense. So no, I'm not there yet.
No, I feel you.
But as far as up and coming artists and things like that, I'm looking for definitely the right vehicles to attach the brand to and let them run with it, to be honest with you.
So what do you feel like the next is going to be the next evolution of lit culture? Like, you already introduced us to the raps. We know we now have the gummies. What's going to be the next level that we see for lit culture?
What I'd like to do is get it to where, because lit culture, as we said, is just such a great name.
Yeah.
And really, I think the next evolution would be production. Lit culture presents. It could be different productions, festivals, sponsoring different artists and things of that sort. A lot of people are coming to me with those types of ideas, and have since the brand really started.
Yeah.
Could be clothing as well. It's just a matter of capital, time, making sure I'm partnering with the right people. Because at the same time I'm creating these products, I have to find those people that are smarter than me.
Yeah, always.
Right, and find the right partners that can make sure that I'm making the best decisions as we go down that path.
Always.
So, and keep learning.
How has the pandemic interfered, or how has it affected, I guess, lit culture overall, or has it affected it?
That's a really interesting, loaded question for me, because as we all have experienced changes with COVID, obviously, I thought it was just going to be the worst thing. And actually what's happened is, because as I said, there's this, a lot of the raps that everybody buys, they come from overseas actually. So there's been a huge disruption in the supply chain. So actually that's where I come in, since I'm making products stateside and in Mexico. I'm one of the few guys that have a consistent supply of wraps, so it's actually benefited me. So other people that have their wraps, they can't get them, or they can't get them through customs. So actually, it's very much so benefited me in getting more shelf space, because the others aren't. So instead of them having a rack full of 5 different companies or 10 or whatever it was, it's only 3 left.
Yeah, and if you are a consistent consumer like myself, when you go to the stores,
You can see it.
Everything's off the shelf.
That's why.
Almost everything's off the shelf. They could barely keep anything past 48 hours.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So it's actually benefited me, believe it or not, in getting new customers, and new distributors and new store owners across the country.
And speaking of moving into new customers and into new customers, what are you doing right now to reach out to new customers and make sure that you're not just staying stagnant and moving with the same people that you were always moving with? Like, what's the job next as far as reaching out to another customer base?
You're interested in job and sales?
It's funny. I've worked in sales before. When you was talking about sales, I'm like, oh, there's an art to sales, baby. Like, you got to know what you're doing for real.
Totally. So I love the question because it's important. Basically, I just hired a new social media manager, graphic designer. So we're actually rebranding and relaunching the brand.
Okay.
Overall behind the scenes. So we're taking care of course, the new customers that are coming aboard and the existing customers and things of that sort. We're replacing inventory for any customers that have had stock for a length of time, and things of that. So we're actually retooling on the back end, because with this COVID, there's also some downtime to take a step back and
reevaluate what you actually have.
Exactly, and what we didn't do right on the launch.
Yes.
And things of that sort. So we're taking advantage of that and looking for the right partners to come in and help us with different aspects to take the brand to the next level.
All right.
Because I was wanting to go over to Germany to a large trade show over there that we were asked to come to, and then this happened. And so that's...
Bro, it happens, man. You know what? But the tough survive. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And clearly you one of the tough ones, man.
Been around a little while,
Yeah.
while. So actually, there's a trade show coming up in. I just got a call yesterday in Florida, so we're going to do a first industry-wide in-person trade show because everything's been virtual at this point because of COVID. But we're going to go ahead and do a physical trade show in Orlando on October.
Word. For those who want to connect with you online, how can they find you on social media, from Twitter to Instagram, Facebook's, websites? How can they find you?
At Lit Culture Life Instagram.
Okay.
At Lit Culture Life.
Lit Culture Life, man. So definitely make sure y'all support this brand. I see you got some samples out here. Are you gonna be? Do we get?
This is for the house. This is house. This is for the house.
That's what's up, man.
This
Thank
is
you,
for the house.
everybody. Everybody's smiling right now. Yo, Rod, I appreciate you coming through tonight,
You too, man. I
Especially
appreciate it. Thank you.
explaining lit culture to us, man.
Thank
Wish you nothing but success with this.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming through, and that is Cash Color Cannabis, a high level of conversation on live hiphopdaily.tv.